Welcome to the Balance of Cinema podcast, where we explore the very best, the very worst, the very profitable, or the very financially irresponsible of cinema. When there is good, there must also be bad, and it's up to us to expose the world to it all. Ladies and gentlemen, it is part 2 of Superhero Month here at the Balance of Cinema podcast in celebration of the 2 big superhero movies coming out this month. Of course, those are Fantastic Four and Superman. Part 1 last week was the Madam Web review that me and Todd recorded over a year ago. That I finally was able to get edited. The irony is, as I'm talking about this, I have not edited it yet, but this is Hollywood magic. I was finally able to get it up because it was stuck in another computer, and I finally went through the process of pulling it out. This week, we are going to be talking about Superman. And out of all the countless things we can possibly be talking about Superman, I decided that we should probably be talking about what is generally considered the worst Superman movie. But do we think it's the worst? That's what you're going to have to find out. And finally, after weeks, Todd is back. He has officially escaped from that Siberian prison and burned all evidence he was ever there. So he is legally a free man. How does it feel to be back in America, Todd?
That's good. I like it here. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know how awful the country will be by the time this airs. But I try to be optimistic.
So because this is coming out the same week as Superman, I've decided that we should be talking about a Superman movie. And of all the Superman media we could be talking about, for some reason I thought it'd be best if we talked about what is generally considered the worst Superman movie. But what are your thoughts on the Christopher Reeve Superman series as a whole?
Well, I love Christopher Reeve. Of course, I was 7 when the first Christopher Reeve movie came out. So it's kind of like my Superman for sure, because I was the perfect age and I believed a man could fly, and it was so good, and it's still like one of my favorite movies, period. It's just so well done, so classic. And I recently wrote a really angry review of it on Letterboxd because I saw so many other people reviewing Superman the movie from 1978 that they thought the first 45 minutes were a drag because there's no Superman yet. It's, we have to see Krypton, then we have to have him grow up in Smallville, and then he goes to his Fortress of Solitude, and they were all whining about that. And I think, what the hell is wrong with people? That's a beautiful part of the story. It's so well done. And John Williams' score has never been better. It's probably my favorite of his scores. And it's just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And it really establishes who Superman is. But I've seen the same kind of criticism for one of my favorite Marvel movies, which is Iron Man. But they say, oh, the first half hour of that movie, you're just stuck in that cave and it's boring. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with you people? That's like his origin story. It's so well done. It's so perfect. And you have goodness stemming from that. It's just, I can't understand why they're just so bored by something so beautiful. So yeah, there's that disconnect. But I really like the first Superman movie. I really this is one of my favorites. The Superman 2. I like both the theatrical version and the Richard Donner cut. I have to go with the Donner cut a little bit more, namely because it actually uses John Williams's score instead of someone kind of revamping it. And but I know the Richard Donner's cut has the same ending as the first one and has a lot of like audition kind of films in there to kind of fill the holes. But it's still, I really like it. And then Superman 3, that I believe you watched recently.
Yeah.
Superman 3 is kind of just a wreck. I love Richard Pryor, but it gets so bad camp, whereas the first two, its camp is nice, and then this one just kind of falls. Superman 3 falls apart, and it's rough and it's painful. There's some good parts, and I have to admit, like my favorite part in Superman 3 is when is kind of like comes from the movie Office Space a bit, where Richard Pryor has just stolen a ton of money from his company, and the boss finds out about it the next day. Is like, I can see for the computers somebody ripped us. An employee ripped us off, but we'll never see him again because he'll obviously be too smart enough to ever show his face here again. And then immediately Richard Pryor pulls into the parking lot in a Ferrari, which is hilarious. Uh, uh, oh my God, so funny. Yeah, Richard Pryor is great, and Christopher Reeve is great, and we finally get like Lana Lang there. Although I can't remember, is there a scene with Lana Lang and Lois ever squaring off?
No,
Because
um,
yeah, we don't get that.
she's out of the movie after her first scene.
Yeah, you just see, yeah, that's something that the comics, the Lana Lang versus Lois Lane, was so big. It was so great in those really ridiculous uh, uh, comics where the two women were competing over Superman, and we just never get that. I mean, Smallville, at least we got a little bit, but yeah. So yeah, Lana Lang drops out. And we're back to Lois. I like Margot Kidder. She's one of my favorite Loises, sure. I think my favorite, though, is Noelle Neal from the George Reeves black and white Superman era. She was just the best. Anyway,
She the second one or the first one?
I guess she kind of came and went. She like started and then she dropped out and they replaced her with Phyllis Coates. So a lot of
Okay.
people consider Phyllis Coates the first one, but then Noelle Neal came back and she was just great. But yeah, Margot Kidder I really like. I uh and I know we're about to launch into talking about Superman 4 Quest for Peace. There's a lot of backstory there. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. There's a lot of what's giving it pros and cons. But I would say, just going from the onset, that Margot Kidder is my favorite part of Superman 4. Even though she's a small part of the movie, but I think she's the least cringe, I might say.
Um, so for me, I was never the biggest Superman fan growing up. Honestly, I kind of hate that about myself because reading Superman comics and then like watching watching the Superman animated series or watching Smallville, it made me realize like how awesome Superman actually is as a character. I used to think I used to agree with most people who don't read his comics where it's like, oh yeah, he's just this like straight-laced Boy Scout who's like unstoppable. And it's like you really like when you really like read Superman comics, you can really see like how layered of a character he is and how he's someone who's the Superman persona that he puts out is like a front for to inspire people and to intimidate the bad guys, but he's really like a lonely person who's trying his best to like not be like a ruler or like someone that like people can look upon him as a god, but like just a good person that people can kind of admire.
Yeah, totally.
And plus, he has a lot of cool villains that he could punch them and shoot them with heat vision. That's also cool too. Um,
Right.
so my experience with this franchise wasn't the best. I watched the first one as a kid. I really liked it. And then I just never really watched the rest of them, even though I've had many chances. I was always, and I probably, still am a huge Batman fan. So Batman, I would watch everything with him, but Superman, most of my exposure to Superman was the Justice League cartoon. When I started trying to like get more into Superman, I finally watched the second one, which is the one generally people say is the best. And I gotta say, it was really good. I tried not to watch them back and forth. I think I spent like a week in between watching the Lester and Donner cut, and it's kind of a shame. It was a stupid idea. You know what happened with it, right?
Right, right.
They tried to just do both movies at the same time, and so of
Yeah.
course they're like, and then like it started running too long, and then they're like, oh well, yeah, just finish this one, and then Donner got kicked out, and they basically reshot a lot of his stuff. Richard Lester, they reshot
Yeah.
like a lot of his material, And even though the Donner cut's incomplete, I agree with you that I think it's much better. It's less goofier, and then you get scenes like Lois threatening to shoot Superman to prove that Clark is Superman. Their romance is like so great. They they Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder truly make these movies special.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like I really like Superman 2. And then Superman 3 was a hard sit. Um like you and like most people, I feel like Richard Pryor's great, and so I'm even like in bad Richard Pryor movies, I'm always happy to see him. He's like always cracks me up. But just that movie's like you're saying is a mess. They kind of have Brainiac as the villain, but they never call it Brainiac because it's just a supercomputer.
Mhm.
And Superman kind of fights as like a cyborg person. But like the villains suck. Except that one girl who like acts like a Valley girl, but she's actually really smart.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a funny gag. Really like the only thing that like other than Richard Pryor that I really enjoy for that. Well, and I like the actress that got to play Lana Lang. She came back to be
Right.
Martha Kent in Smallville.
Yeah. Definitely.
Christopher Reeve has like a lot of like different performances in that movie. So like he has the regular Clark Kent and the regular Superman, but he also has like a more normal Clark Kent because Lana knew him as like when he was younger. So she wouldn't fall for like the clumsy Clark Kent persona that he puts on. So he gets to be more of himself with her. It was cool to see Christopher Reeve just play like the normal Clark Kent for once. And then he got to play evil Superman, who
Yeah.
is doing such dastardly things as straightening the Tower of Pisa. And then the fight scene between Clark and Superman is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, I joke that it's like a video game fight because the evil Superman kills Clark like 5 times, and it's like, oh, he had another life. That scene goes on really long, maybe a little bit too long, because the movie is like 2.5 hours. It's like I don't know, maybe cut like 5 minutes of that. Yeah, Superman 3 was a mess, but like I didn't. I don't know. I guess I would say it's bad, but like there's some things I enjoy in that. And then Superman 4. Um, you know what? I'm gonna wait for that as we talk about the movie. I think people will be surprised. Maybe. I don't know. Before we move on to Superman 4, since we have a new Superman movie coming out, I'm super anticipated for it. What are you thinking about it so far?
Oh well, I'm very excited that because I'm big into Superman, big into his history, and this is the first time a Jewish actor has played Superman, and that's
Yeah.
a big deal. I mean, he is a metaphor for made by Jewish immigrants, and that seems really powerful, especially today. And so I'm really excited, and uh, I was kind of I was kind of saddened because I've been so pumped about it, and my wife was kind of like, "Do I need to go with you? Because I don't really care." And I was like, "What do you mean? It's Superman! Come on, it's James Gunn doing Superman. He's gonna fix everything. Let's go." She's like, "I don't know. It's two superhero movies in 1 month. Fantastic Four comes out literally on her birthday, so she's like, so she's doing that for me at least because it's the Fantastic Four. Come on."
I like how it's like she's gonna go see that. It's on her birthday, and she's gonna see that for you.
Yeah, 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 totally. Although yesterday we discovered that Diana Ross is going to be playing at the Hollywood Bowl that weekend, and so for her actual birthday, we'll go see Diana Ross at the Hollywood Bowl. Totally not a problem with me at all. I that's a bucket lister. I'm looking forward to it. She's like 81, so like that's great. Let's go see her, and the next day we'll see Fantastic Four.
But yeah, I've been very excited about it. I've been trying as hard as I can not to watch all the clips that keep coming out of it. It's like I want to see the movie, damn it. Don't stop.
Yeah,
I literally bought a ticket for it already. I don't need to see any more stuff. Um but yeah, I don't want to like I don't want to turn this into like let's complain about the Snyder Superman stuff, but so I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just gonna say I'm very happy with the hands that the Superman like I like James Gunn movies. I think he kind of understands why superheroes are fun and resonate with people. And
Yeah,
just listening to like the interviews that David Cordsweet has had about this movie, he seems to really understand the character and wants to make sure it's an authentic experience for all the fans. So
right.
I'm very much looking forward to this movie.
Good, good, good. Me too.
And so we now get into Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. I'm going to give a little plot summary, and then I'm going to kind of explain the backstory of this. Because it's honestly, this one would probably have a pretty interesting documentary if like they made
Yeah,
a documentary in the backstory of this.
yeah.
So, with global superpowers engaged in an incredible hostile arms race, Superman leads a crusade to rid the world of nuclear weapons. But Lex Luthor, recently sprung from jail, is declaring war on the Man of Steel in his quest to save the planet. Using a strand of Superman's hair, Luthor synthesizes a powerful ally known as Nuclear Man and ignites epic battle spanning Earth and space. So, Superman 1 and 2 were very successful, but then 3 like had like a major dive in the box office, which
Mm,
I don't know if that's just because people were sick of Superman or just like bad word of mouth or like
right.
they saw Richard Pryor was in it and they're just like, what? A
Yeah.
comedian in a superhero movie? I hope we don't do that again. Um, I feel like my generation's Superman 3 was Batman and Forever.
Yeah.
Where it's like, let's have hey, this Jim Carrey guy's pretty big. Let's have him be the Riddler. And then of course they tried to like breathe some new life into the series by making Supergirl. That's a story for another time. And so as a result of that, and another movie called, have you ever heard of Santa the movie? Santa Claus the movie?
I remember I had forgotten all about it, but I was reading through Wikipedia about the backstory after I finished Superman 4, and I saw it suddenly all came crashing back to me. I did not ever see Santa Claus the movie, but I did read its Wikipedia page to find that it is the most played Christmas movie in the UK. It did well there, but it
Wow.
bombed here, and it really hurt the Canon group that was making Superman.
I heard the Sulkins, not canon.
Yeah, yeah.
Canon's not involved yet. Um,
Oh, okay.
it makes sense though. Dudley Moore's in it, so I could see why they'd. Oh yeah, there's a Dudley Moore Christmas movie. Put it on.
Yeah, yeah. And John Lithgow being the evil American toy manufacturer. So yeah, yeah, it probably plays really well over there.
I've only seen the Nostalgia Critic review of it, and I've seen the scenes of John Lithgow, and he very much plays like it's basically if Dick Solomon was a villain from Third Rock from the Sun. And then the Canning group came in. They asked the Sulkins. They kind of negotiated with the Sulkins for it. Who are like it's Alexander Sulkin, I think is his name. He's like a
Yeah,
French producer, and then his daughter is like with him on projects too. They sold it to Canon for $5 million, which seems like a steal nowadays. But I
well,
mean,
yeah, because yeah, what Wikipedia said was that they thought, okay, if Superman 3 makes 40 million, then we'll make a Superman 4, and then Superman 3 made 80 million, but it got such a negative review, and then of course they were hurt by the Santa Claus movie that they said, okay, well, we'll sell it, and they sold the franchise. Yeah, you're right, for 5 million. That seems like pennies. Uh, and and then what? Canon turned around and paid Chris Reeve 6 million to be in it.
yeah. Are you familiar with the Canning group? Their
I
movies?
watched. Did you see that documentary
I did
about the
not see the
Canon Group?
documentary. No.
It's really good.
Yeah.
My coworker told me about it, and so I rushed home and watched it to the shock of my family because you get to see a lot. The kinds of movies they did. It's fantastic. I think my favorite of theirs, I now have seen Tough Guys Don't Dance, which is hilarious.
Right.
And I remember back in the day in the 80s, I went to the drive-in and saw Breakin'. And of
Oh
course,
yeah,
it's the best sequel ever, Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
that's like a huge meme that's from them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Even the documentary is called Electric Boogaloo.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love Canon. They make a lot of great ninja movies like Revenge of the Ninja. They made the American Ninja franchise. Lou Ferrigno's Hulk, which is like a disaster from what I heard. Um, I
Oh,
made some of the
I loved that. How were they involved with the Lou Ferrigno?
they produced it.
The TV show?
No, no, no. Not the Hulk, the Hercules.
Hercules. Okay, yes. Yes,
Lou
that was
Ferrigno's
terrible.
Hercules movies. Yeah.
Yes, that was terrible. Yeah, yeah.
They made some of the goofier Charles Bronson movies, like the later Death Wish movies. Worked a lot with Chuck Norris, Invasion USA, Missing in Action.
Correct me if I'm wrong, they made one of my favorite 80s coming of age movies, which was The Last American Virgin. That is one of my favorites. I believe they mentioned that in the documentary. And I remember that as having just the most traumatizing ending, but like totally real. You know, you would watch that, you were like, "Oh, that was awful." It was just spoilers, not a Hollywood ending. That has a real ending, and you are scarred for life by it. You're like, "Oh my God, that was awful. Oh, that was so real. Oh, that's exactly what would have happened." And yeah, Last American Virgin. I remember my dad brought it home from the video store, and we watched it, and we're all traumatized.
I need to check this out. That I've heard of this movie, but I never watched it. But like,
Oh, oh yeah.
you telling me if like
Girl in it, the
ending.
girl in it. Did you ever see um, Better Off Dead with John Cusack?
Yes,
The girl that plays the French girl in that, who is not actually French, she's in Last American Virgin as the love interest, and she's beautiful.
I love Better Off Dead, so
Yeah.
that helps me want to watch this too. So yeah, I love Canon. Their movies are always a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Um, they're run by two guys named Mahatnam Golan or Mahat Menahat. Oh my god, I'm just gonna sorry. One guy's named Golan, one guy's named Globus. I'm just gonna embarrass myself if I keep trying. I'm sorry. So yeah, like you said, they agreed to pay Christopher Reeve $6 million, which probably really big for back then.
Yeah, I remember it made news when in the first one the Salkinds paid um, Marlon Brando like $1 million to be Jor-El, and that was like setting records. I was like, wow, he's barely, he's like in the first 10 minutes, and they paid him $1 million. That was amazing. And so yeah, and of course Christopher Reeve was fourth billed on his own Superman the movie, but then he slowly made his way. I think he was second billed, then made his
It's
way up to
Superman
first
2, yeah.
bill. Yeah.
And they also agreed to fund his movie Street Smart, which have you seen Street Smart?
I don't believe so. I that's one I've always thought I should check out.
It didn't do well, but I know Morgan Freeman was known from the Electric Company,
Yeah,
but this
yeah.
was the first movie that was his first Oscar nomination.
Yeah. Oh wow, it's got Kathy Baker and Mimi Rogers and yeah, Christopher Reeve
I'm
and Morgan
interested in
Freeman.
checking it out.
Yeah.
I would like to see more Christopher Reeve's drama work because I've only seen the Superman movies and John Carpenter's Village of the Damned,
Oh yeah.
which is one of his
I
last movies before his accident.
right. He's also really good in Remains of the Day. That's a good one with Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson.
One of my dad really was it Somewhere in Time.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's another one that's traumatizing. It's so good. It's like a Twilight Zone movie that's just like, oh, that you never forget. Oh.
My dad was a big fan of that one, and he doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
generally like romantic movies, so that's how I know it's really
But yeah,
good.
it's because it's like a Twilight Zone romance, and so you're like, oh, oh, so good, so good.
Christopher Reeve also, they basically just gave him whatever he wanted with this movie. So they paid him a lot of money. They funded his movie. He co-wrote the script. He came up with the idea and he co-wrote the story. I guess he was really like he really wanted to say something about like all the nuclear scares in the 1980s.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge, terrifying problem as a kid from the 80s. Yeah, it we I mean, kids my age were in the 80s were committing suicide. We were so terrified. And it's very realistic along those fronts, and it was a really good message at the time, or an idea for a message. It does kind of remind me, around the same time Leonard Nimoy was being given the same kind of deal with Star Trek 4. And his message was an ecological one where he said, I don't want a villain in this. I just want a message of, we've got to take better care of our planet or else. And that at first started to look like it was going to be a horrible, horrible movie. And then they turned it around and they saved it. And now Star Trek 4 is like my second favorite Star Trek movie.
Like one of the most profitable ones too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wonder if that's what Glowin' and Globus thought. It's like, oh, we have like a kind of like a silly movie that also has a message about nuclear war. I'm sure
Yeah,
this will do really well.
it'll
Um,
be great.
Very interesting. And then finding the director. I guess Reeve wanted to direct this first, but they kind of didn't trust him with like a movie this big, so he
Right.
just did some second unit shots. And then originally they asked, I guess they asked Richard Lester too, but they asked Richard Donner, and he was like, "I'm making this Lethal Weapon thing right now. I'm sorry."
Yeah,
Probably a smart choice. um,
yeah.
apparently the director that was going to do it was Wes Craven.
Right, right. And so, how I want to know what happened. How did Reeve and Wes Craven like totally get off on the wrong foot? Because
Yeah.
Reeve was like, absolutely not. And since they'd given him director approval, I mean, I guess maybe it was as simple as, you mean the guy that directed Nightmare on Elm Street? Hell no, no, I don't want him. And
He also
that
directed Swamp Thing though.
right. So I'm like, oh, that would have made things so much better, I think. Because what had director Sidney Furie done before this? He had been working in Canadian broadcasting and just doing a few TV shows, and nothing I had could recognize. Oh, except he co-created something, didn't he? What was it? It was the Iron Eagle franchise, which was huge in the 80s as well. Not Top Gun, but like it was Top Gun light.
He also directed I would guess it's a cult classic. I haven't seen it myself, but I've always heard it's good. Is a movie called The Entity, which
Oh,
is
yes.
about
I've heard of that too.
which is about this it's like a very scary movie from what I understand. It's about this
Right.
woman who's like keeps getting assaulted by like by like a ghost or a spirit some
Yeah.
kind. Um I've always wanted to watch it. I've just never had the chance to finally sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's
yeah,
Barbara Hershey. Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to check that one out.
I do think it's funny of how the Wikipedia entry said it. Yeah, we use Wikipedia. We checked sources though, so don't worry.
Sure.
But apparently Reeve, he wanted Ron Howard, and they're just like,
Yeah.
how about Cindy J. Fury instead?
How would things have been different with Ron Howard? I mean, it probably would have hurt Ron Howard's career if he had done this, but
It's 87, so like Cocoon basic Splash and Cocoon basically were his like two
right.
big hits.
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone talk about Gun Ho, so I don't know if that's any good.
I remember Gun Ho.
But yeah, I just think it's like you're making like a low budget superhero movie, and then you're just like, yeah, can I get Christopher Nolan? And they're like, you can get a guy that's directed a bunch of episodes of Stargate. Is that okay?
That'll do.
Because they were going through like a really bad financial disaster at the moment. Like Canon Films, for as good as they are, and for as much money as they pumped into them, most of the time they just broke even, and video rental sales would like help them out. But like they're trying to make like some big movies that were just not doing that well. The two big ones that are pretty infamous are Life Force.
Oh, which I saw recently.
Oh, you watched it recently?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I can
Yeah.
see why it's kind of got a cult status, but probably, you know,
Didn't
was a
do
little,
well.
yeah. But
Mommy, I
wow,
want to
yeah,
see the movie of the naked vampire lady, and it's like, no, son.
exactly. Yeah, I had been waiting to see the naked vampire lady for decades, literally decades, and then my wife went out of town, and I was throwing in a bunch of horror movies to get through, and then like 2 hours before she's supposed to come home or arrive in the airport, I went, oh yeah, Force, gotta watch that real quick, and like, oh, it was so good. I mean, it was terrible in a way, but it was also, they went all in, you know, so like you got to respect them for that. It was an extreme, and oh, so good. And so then I was very interested in that actress. It was like one of the first things she'd done. She barely spoke English, and I tracked down uh, uh, a Patricia Highsmith adaptation she'd done called "The Cry of the Owl," which is actually pretty good. But it was done in French, and it was pretty good. The French really like Patricia Highsmith, so their stuff tends to be pretty good. But yeah,
The other big movie they had, which came out the same year, was Masters of Universe, the He-Man
oh
movie
yeah,
with
with
Dolph
Courtney
Lundgren.
Cox.
Yeah. um, and then that they were in the process of making a sequel for that one, but they ran out of money, and it's like, why would you make
Mm.
a sequel? This movie didn't do that good. Do you know what they used the sets for?
You know what?
Cyborg, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah.
like one of the last canon movies. I think at some point too they were gonna like. I need to look at it again, but it's somewhere in there. There's a New Gods, like Jack Kirby New Gods.
Oh, nice.
Um, and so yeah, Canon wasn't doing the best, so they cut down the budget on this movie for 17 million,
Yeah,
which just to
yeah.
kind of
They basically cut it in half. Yeah.
yeah, which to kind of put that in perspective, the budget for the first Superman movie in 1977 was 55 million.
Mm. Yeah,
So
and
they basically had
it,
pennies for this one.
it really it kind of explained while I was watching it just a few minutes ago that the uh, that a lot of the times where you think Superman's using his like heat vision or laser vision or something, and nothing, we don't see any effect, and it's like they just like, can we skip drawing in some red lines here because we really gotta trim this down. Let's just, you know, we could just imply it. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. And of course, there's that shot of him flying that they reused like 8 times.
Yes.
It's just the same shot of him like with his hands up or with his hands forward and
Right.
then just flying at the screen. Um, and then because of this, the failure of this one, they had to cancel their Spider-Man movie
All right.
that James Cameron was originally going to make, and then lost that, and then Cannon got it, and then who knows what was going to happen there. I can't remember if it's the James Cameron one or it's the Canon one where they asked Michael Jackson to be in it, and then Michael Jackson had a bunch of weird demands.
Wow.
Um, that would have been interesting to see Michael Jackson play Peter Parker.
I remember in like 1990, I bought an early draft of James Cameron's script at a script sale, and it had Doctor Octopus was the villain, and his like catchphrase that he always said before and after he gets his arms is "Okie dokie." He keeps saying "Okie dokie," which is kind of hilarious. Like he's about to do something and he'll go "Okie," and then his arms will do it, and then he'll go "Dokie." Oh, and it happens a lot. He says "Okie dokie" a lot. Oh,
And then the production of the filming of the movie wasn't any easier. I don't know if it was just Christopher Reeves not having that much of a make this movie, or he was just kind of like fueled with ego and power. But apparently, like he was kind of a terror on set. I think it effectively ruined his and Margot Kidder's relationship for like a few years.
Oh no.
She just said he was acting like a real jerk to her the whole movie, which is probably why she's in
Aw.
this less.
Yeah.
Like I could see them like cutting out some scenes, and then like she was. I don't know if you know that she was barely in the third one because she was upset that like they fired Richard Donner, so she kind of like
Right.
had less time out of protest. So like it sucks
Yeah.
that she's back in this movie again, and she's kind of like an afterthought.
Mm. Yeah, and like I said, I felt like she was the best part. Like there were some great moments, but yeah, I could kind of that makes sense that she was having a problem, and that's yeah, that's too bad because yeah, Clark and Lois are kind of the driving force of the whole franchise.
All right. Now for the backstory of the movie, the behind the scenes stuff of the movie out of the way, let's get into the movie. I wanted to bring up the opening for a couple of reasons. One, just how cheap the opening credits looks
Oh
compared to the other
God,
one.
oh they look terrible. They're absolutely terrible because the first three they do those swooping 3D effects, and this looks like you're watching a made-for-TV movie graphics. So yeah, oh, not a good sign.
Because this is during the stages of the Cold War where Russia could nuke us at any point, but we want this war to be we want this to be over. So we're gonna start being nice to Russians and stuff. So they just have some Russian cosmonauts hanging out on their little satellites, and then is it like a meteor hits it?
No, it's actually another like piece of space junk. It looks like an old satellite that comes by and hits poor Yuri or whatever his name is, the Russian cosmonaut who was singing, and the rest of his crew was upset at him for singing, and that's probably what saved him because Superman, couldn't drown out the singing. He's like, oh, got to go save the cosmonaut.
Like, is that My Way by Frank Sinatra?
With a Russian accent. Oh boy. Now the best thing about Superman 4, I think hands down, is that certain scenes from this opening scene are used on YouTube to retell the movie Gravity. Have you seen that? It's absolutely hilarious. It takes the movie Gravity and then this opening scene of Superman 4 and kind of puts it together. It's fantastic. It basically says Superman is the reason why Gravity the movie happens, which is fantastic.
I could see that. It's like I always like edits like that where like they combine movies together. Um, so yeah, after he saves him, we of course have to introduce our villain, which I don't know how they did it, but they got Gene Hackman to come back for this one.
I know. I know. The late great Gene Hackman.
Yeah, and he is still in prison. I guess in Superman 2 he left Otis behind, so I guess they're just in separate prisons now. So he needs a new bumbling psychic to save him. And who saves him but John Cryer, his nephew Lenny Luthor?
Yay! Which is perfect because it sets up John Cryer so he can play Lex Luthor in a multiverse story decades later. Did you see that? It was
Yeah, I've
fantastic.
seen that. Yeah, I think he's a pretty good Lex Luthor. Like I
He
haven't
is
seen
a
this.
great Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Fantastic
like
Lex Luthor.
he like makes me want to watch those seasons of Supergirl that he's in because I have no
Me
more
too. Me
interest in
too.
watching that. I have no more interest in watching
Exactly.
Supergirl,
I
but
just want to see John Cryer as multiverse hopping Lex Luthor. That's fantastic. Sold.
I guess he was a super like I mean like it's probably not hard to find actors that are Superman fans, but he was a Superman fan, so he was disappointed with this movie just because it's a bad movie and he plays like annoying like Southern California teenager.
Right. Like on Wikipedia, it said that Christopher Reeve told him right before the movie premiered, "This is going to be awful."
And so he's very annoying in this movie, but it's nice to know that he got his redemption by being a really good Lex
Yes.
Luthor.
Yeah.
And so this kind of like the villain plot in this one is really funny. So like we're saying, the main plot of the two like things that kind of like kick off the movie are both the Daily Planet is bought by the Warfields, these rich people, which I notice seems to be a very common trope in Superman media. I don't know if it's because of this movie, but like it's Smallville, Lex Luthor buys it. In Superman and Lois, Morgan Edge buys it. Have you seen Superman and Lois?
Just parts, yeah,
Okay.
just a few
They do
episodes.
something they do something very interesting with Morgan Edge. It's like if you were to hear about it before you watched it, you're like, "What? That's ridiculous." But he's honestly what they do with Morgan Edge in the show, I think, is pretty cool. Because normally Morgan Edge is just like another rich guy that Superman fights. Um, then in the New 52 comics, like they get absorbed in another major news company. So like that's like a really common trope of just like super the Daily Planet getting bought by like a bad guy. Um but the daughter of the Warfields, I put Lucy, but it's Lacey. She's played by Mariel Hemingway, who, yes, if you, that name sounds familiar to her, she is in fact related to Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like there's a lot of actors that are grandkids of literary legends, like the 90s Captain America movie.
Hmm.
Captain America is played by J.D. Salinger's grandson.
Wow, nice.
I of course know Mariel Hemingway from the movie Bad Moon, which is a
Oh,
really good werewolf movie.
nice.
It has it all. It's cool because the book that the movie's based off of, it's all from the perspective of a dog. And so in the movie, the dog's the hero, and like it's the dog noticing. So quick side thing about Bad Moon, because it's a really good werewolf movie and I recommend it. Basically, this guy gets infected with lycanthropy. He comes to be with his family because he hopes that will quell it. It doesn't work, and the only person that suspects something is wrong is the family dog. And so like the family dog is trying to warn him, like, "Hey, this guy's a bad guy," and then like it gets to the point to where he knows that the dog is onto him, and so he starts trying to like intimidate the dog. So there's a part where he pees on the dog's house to let him know, like, "Hey, I'm the alpha around here." And then at the end of the movie, they fight. It's like a fight scene.
Wow.
It's a fight scene between a werewolf and a dog, and it's awesome. At least
And
watch if you're not interested in watching the movie, watch the Bad Moon, the final fight between the dog and a werewolf. It's awesome.
nice. Well, I see that the dog's name in the story is Thor, which already I'm like, all right, well, I'm there. That's great. That's fantastic.
The one issue about the movie is it was early CGI, so it's cool werewolf makeup, but there's just a moment where like, oh, we could just put computer effects to change him. It does not look good. So yeah, and then with Lacey and Superman, there's this recurring kind of romance between them that I think is pretty one-sided. She has the hots for Clark Kent, um, and no matter how much he tries to ruin it, there's a great part where him and where it's like a double date between them and then Lois and Superman, which of course, Clark Kent's Superman, so he has to keep finding ways to like keep changing. But
Yes.
there's like a
It,
funny
yeah, it, rem- it reminds me of a lot of sitcoms from the 1970s, 1980s. I can think of one particular instance of the Brady Bunch where Peter, the middle son, had two dates at the same time. And so, of course, what he had to do was find an identical classmate that looks just like him, only he wears glasses. And so the two of them trade off to kind of fix the situation. It was hilarious and hilarity ensued. So much like this movie.
I was just thinking, for me, it reminded me of Three's Company because that's just totally a situation that Jack Tripper would get in.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh no, I made two dates. What do I do? I'm not Superman.
But there's like a funny moment where like Lois is like, "Hey, Clark, she likes you. Compliment her dress." And then Clark's just like, "Oh, hey, nice dress." And then that's it. And then Lois just like face palms.
Yeah, it's funny that Lois is actually trying to help the evil the new owner's daughter with Clark, and especially since my interpretation of this movie, and it's not everybody's, it's just what has become evident to me is that through my multiple viewings, I've seen the movie now probably 3 or 4 times, but I think that Lois like unconsciously remembers that she knows Clark and Superman are the same person, but she doesn't consciously know it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of funny that she's like in this double date scene, uh, constantly thinking, "Well, where's Superman? Oh, well, where's Clark? Oh, well, where's Superman? Oh, well, where's Clark?" Ah, but the good part of it is that I think it ends up being like this hot little game that the two of them are playing. It's kind of like, hey, I'll show you my secret identity, and then I'll give you a super kiss, and you'll forget, right? Wink, nod, nod. You'll forget, and then we'll just have some witty banter. But you'll forget I'm Superman, right, Lois?
Which that does lead, which that is part of a scene
Yeah.
earlier in this movie where he's just upset because of the planet getting bought out, and the main plot line of a kid sending him a Superman a letter basically saying like, hey, maybe you should like stop the war, stop all the nuclear war. So Clark needs some air, so he takes Lois out for some air and just drops off a building, and they reenact their flying scene from the first movie.
Yes, but with much worse special effects. They
Yeah.
they don't look nearly as good as they did the first two movies.
You probably could
Oh,
have cut the scene out of the movie, especially when we get to the deleted scenes that
yes,
they
and
cut
they're even
out.
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one scene in the movie. There's one part where he's flying with her, and he just kind of throws her ahead of him, so that she's flying on her own, and it's kind of terrifying, but she's still having a fun time. And then he picks her up. But in the deleted scenes, he does it like 3 more times. It's just awful.
And so the main plot, well, kind of the main plot. This movie has a lot of plots in it. Is there's this kid named Jeremy who is really depressed about the Cold War, and so he's like, yeah, maybe Superman could do it. And then all of his classmates make fun of him for it, and it causes him to send like an open letter to Superman. And
Right. And it seemed like it was part of the class assignment. Let's write our senators to
yeah,
to uh, to tell them we don't want a nuclear war. And Jeremy was like, I'm going to write to Superman, and we're going to get stuff done. And thankfully, he's not the Jeremy from the Pearl Jam single. So when Jeremy spoke in class today, things went a little better because hey, Superman answered the letter. Because as usual, when something is needed to be given to Superman, particularly in this movie, they just always find their way to Clark Kent. It's really, really kind of amazing. Superman loses his cape. Hey, let's give it to Clark. Maybe Clark will figure out what to do with it. Sure, sure, sure.
there was kind of a funny moment to where we'll get to the deleted scenes later, but
Mhm.
I will kind of touch on one. There is a deleted scene where Superman actually flies to Jeremy and talks to him and explains to him like, I can't like do something like that big.
Right.
It's like an abuse of my powers. But in the movie they don't have that scene, so it's literally just there's like a not a summit, but like, what is the word I'm trying to think? There's like a
Well,
press
there's a
thing.
meeting. Right. There's a meeting of the UN at first, and even before that, there I think right where that scene would have gone, and they cut out. They then have a headline where it says Superman tells Jeremy drop dead.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get that scene, it
Yeah.
seems really jarring. And the
Yeah.
same could be said about where when Superman's going with Lois, uh he says to her when he goes for his flight with Lois, he reveals himself again, and he says, uh he quotes his father telling him that he can't fall in love with one human, he can only love all humans. And And I remember thinking, huh, that's odd. We didn't hear his dad ever say that. So he seems to be quoting something. And then you watch the deleted scenes and they have someone doing a Brando impression saying that. And so, I mean, they cut it out because it sounded awful. But then you have him
Brando
quoting it
back.
in the movie and we don't know what he's talking about. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and so Superman feels bad, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And so he goes to the UN, and he does have a cool line where he's like, God, hold on, let me actually look up the line.
Like, yeah, I'm an immigrant, but this is my planet now. And I want it saved too.
Okay, I found the quotes. He's like, Madam Secretary, I don't represent any particular country, but I like to address the delegates. And then she's like, well, you need a sponsor. And then everyone raises their. She's like, I believe that will do. And then yeah, he goes on to explain how like he wants to make the world a better place. And so I don't know how he does it, but he convinces all the countries that have nukes to just give up their nukes and just to shoot them out into space. Um,
Right. Which kind of sounds like the Thanos problem, Thanos says, I've been around to all the inhabited worlds and there's overpopulation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these stones together and then I'm going to kill at random half the population of everybody. And that will solve the overpopulation problem. Well, it will until they all grow back. I mean, that's kind of what happens. So this is Superman saying, you know what? We've got too many nukes. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw all the nukes into the sun, and then we won't have any more nuke problems, right? Hey, no one ever told anybody they can't continue making nukes. We're just going to make them all again, Thanos. What about that?
he also forgot to mention he throws them into a giant net.
Yes.
Um, and then
Oh,
what's
it's
funny too is
great.
it's like they could have just shot multiple nukes. As we established in the first movie, he's not fast enough to catch more than one nuke.
That's right.
Except
That's
when he
right.
becomes fast enough to travel back in time.
I guess they're just not the greatest criminal mind of all time, are they? It takes Lex Luthor to fire two nukes at once.
Yeah. Which then brings us back to Lex Luthor, who his plan
Yes, yes.
is he's gonna steal a lock of Superman's hair, which is at like a Superman museum. Even though it's strong enough to hold like what is it, like a ton? Couple
It's got
tons?
1,000 pounds. It's a half a ton because it's a
Yeah.
1,000 pounds that a single strand of Superman hair is holding, which is great. That's fantastic. I love the setup. But how does he steal it, Steven?
He takes some hedge clippers and just cuts it.
It's so easy. What do you know? What do you know? My wife's reaction to that was like, "What? A hedge? He's just got clippers. What? What?"
You can
Ugh.
They couldn't even say like, "Oh yeah, I have like a small like little piece of kryptonite that I could use to cut it."
Right, right. Maybe they were bolt cutters. I guess maybe I don't know. And now when he does it, he breaks into the glass case that's holding the 1,000 pound thing, but when he cuts it, there should be like a huge, enormous crash, and I don't think there is
There's
because
just
the
like a
thing should fall.
yeah, and then it's a ball, so it was a ball, right? So it should be rolling off
Yeah,
of the platform.
I know it should have caused a lot of massive destruction, but again, we had to save money where we could here. We just cut the budget in half, so let's go easy on things.
And so Lex's plan is to synthesize protoplasm from this hair, and he's going to use it to create a
Nice.
being.
This actually happened in Marvel Comics where Iron Man had taken a strand of Thor's hair. This was a decade or so ago, a couple decades ago, where Iron Man had a strand of Thor's hair and Thor had apparently died. And so he decided to make a new Thor from this hair. And this new Thor was a badass who didn't really respect human life or anything. And Iron Man was kind of playing Lex Luthor there. That was like around I think the Civil War era, the first
But
Civil
on
War in the
these,
Marvel comics. Yeah, that was pretty terrifying. Way to go, Tony.
First, though, he needs funding from a couple of people from businessmen from various countries. One of them is William
Perkins and Jim Broadbent as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm recognizing
who's
all
dubbed
these.
over.
Yeah,
William Hookins is funny because he's just like this like fat American actor that lives in Britain, but because like so many big movies were shot in England, they would just put him in movies because like, oh cool, we have American guys. So he's Porkins in A New Hope. He's one of the is he like CIA or something at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah.
He's the guy
Yeah,
who's like, yeah, we're gonna have the Ark examined by top men,
top top men.
and then he's also Flash in Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah,
He's in both a Batman and Superman movie.
he's in the 1980 Flash Gordon as well as
Oh,
the
sorry,
scientist.
man.
Yeah, so he always pops up. Always good to see him.
Yeah, and then Jim Broadbent plays one of the guys. He's supposed to be a Frenchman, so he's dubbed. And so from there, Lex is able to gain a missile himself, and he's going to shoot it as part of the barrage that Superman's going to catch. So Superman it's not only is it protoplasm, there's fabric in there.
Right.
Which and so when Superman catches it and he throws the net into the sun, which I don't know if like I'm not like I'm not into that much level of science. I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if just you throw a bunch of nukes in the sun, they just disappear. I know in the movie Sunshine, the plot is they're going to go set off a nuke on the sun and that restarts the sun. So, I don't know. This seems like a bad idea probably.
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff Neil deGrasse Tyson needs to talk about and not in 1984 that's not how the stars would have looked. It's like nobody cares about that. um and it births Nuclear Man, who the reason that Lex put fabric in it was so Nuclear Man could have clothes when he was formed and a cape.
Yeah. We'll get to our deleted scene soon, but yes, he was learning a lesson from a deleted scene.
Also, he can grow long gold fingernails.
Yes.
Is that just a random mutation?
I don't know. Maybe Lex had it all in mind. He's like, hey, he'll scratch Superman. Superman might get sick. You never know.
Uh,
Infection.
a- Another funny thing about Lex is the first movie establishes that Lex is wearing toupees. It was
Mhm.
basically Gene Hackman did not want to be bald. And so they're like, well, we'll just change Lex's hair to make it look like he has wigs. And at the end of the first movie, he'll be bald. And then at the beginning of the second movie. But he apparently has a toupee that gives him the appearance of balding because Gene Hackman was balding at the time. So
Right.
his hair's sitting in the front. He's a bald spot. So did Lex? Did they forget he's wearing wigs, or did Lex just be like, yeah, I want to look like I'm older, so I'll have a toupee with a bald spot.
Yeah. Well, it did strike me as odd because usually when he was in prison, he didn't have access to his wig, so he would be wearing a hat, but he would still be bald. But in this movie, he's always got his thinning hair, and so yeah, maybe somehow while he's in prison, he joined Hair Club for Men. Maybe I don't know. Something happened. It's slowly growing back.
And then Nuclear Man is played by Mark Pillow. It's a
A
funny name.
great name.
Yeah.
Great name. If
Um,
we had been doing this Mystery Science Theater style, I during their big fight, Superman versus Nuclear Man, I would have said, "Is Steven, is this technically a pillow fight?" That would have been my riff.
that's funny.
That would have been my riff.
Um, who he was apparently a Chippendales dancer before he
Oh,
was an actor, and then didn't get much work. Well, I don't know. Sadly, we don't really know his acting in this movie. He just kind of snarls because he has Lex's voice.
oh, he doesn't even get to talk. Oh,
Yeah. which was like very common in movies at this time. Like, well, except Masters of the Universe. Funny story about that, but like it reminds me of Flash. Like, so I haven't seen Flash Gordon all the way, but I've seen like a bit of it. So in Flash Gordon, Sam Jones doesn't even have his own voice because he pissed people off.
Really?
Yeah, so like
Oh,
he like I think it's because like he pissed off the directors or something, or he refused to come back for ADR. So they just had someone else dub him.
wow. I did not know that.
And then for Masters of the Universe, Dolph at the time barely knew English because he's Swedish, or maybe I don't know. He's Swedish. He's Swedish and he's like pretty intelligent. So I imagine maybe he did know English. It was just very thick accent. So they were gonna dub him in Masters of the Universe, but apparently he had it in his contract that he had like 4 tries to do ADR before they could get someone to dub him. And so they did one, and they're like, "We don't have any money to do another one, so fuck it." It's just he can Dolph can use his voice in this movie, which I'm assuming when not canon, even though the Punisher feels like a canon movie. I'm assuming when they did the Punisher, they're just like, just don't give him any lines, give him as few lines as possible. Also, don't give him the skull.
Right.
Nuclear Man doesn't even. He literally his voice. Um, I'm sure Gene Hackman was not paid extra for that. And so, because Nuclear Man was made from the sun, his weakness is that if he's away from the sun, he loses power.
It's a pretty big weakness.
Yeah.
Of course, in the comics, Superman's power is usually said it comes from the yellow sun.
Yeah.
So him sunbathing is the way to recharge.
Double checking some of the, because he really does just. It really does just go straight to them fighting.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing something, but like, no, that's what happens.
Destroy Superman.
Yeah. And so Lex instills in him to go destroy Superman, and that becomes Nuclear Man's goal. So he confronts Superman, and they do their best with the budget and the time. They have a big super fight across the world, this is going to be the only time I make fun of Man of Steel. Unlike Man of Steel, Superman is able to not only take Nuclear Man away from civilians, he repairs some of his damage that they cause in the fight, like using his X-ray vision to rebuild the Great Wall.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Nuclear Man causes Mount Vesuvius to erupt, and Superman just puts a rock on it, which I feel like would just build up pressure in the volcano and cause it to explode. Maybe he went back to take care of it when he was done fighting Nuclear Man. But during their fight, that is when Nuclear Man scratches Superman, and it causes him to get sick. The Daily Planet reports that he dies, and they get his cape.
And it's just like that scene from Spider-Man 2 where J. Jonah Jameson gets Spider-Man's costume out of the garbage. He's like, yes, I did it. I destroyed him. Yes.
And throughout this movie, like, Lacey is like, you can tell like she's not like as much of an asshole as her dad. So even she's like now like, hey, Dad, we're kind of like going too far into the sensationalism here. Then Lois goes, this scene is weird because, like you're saying, it heavily implies that she knows Clark is Superman.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's how
And
Margot's playing it.
And that's my fetish right there. I will out myself totally. That my fetish is that this is the sexiest scene when Margot Kidder goes to visit Clark to give him Superman's cape and say, I really have a message for Superman, so I'm going to tell you, Clark, that I love him so much, and I just want him to know we all love him, and we miss him. And okay, bye, Clark.
And then Nuclear Man kind of it's funny, the deleted scenes and then what happens in the movie like place these things in different orders. So Nuclear Man, he wants to like make sure he kills Superman, so he goes to like kidnap Lacey. And then it cuts back to Clark, and he's like aging rapidly. And so he goes to his back, which, by the way, we forgot to set this up, which shows you how important it is to the movie. In the beginning of the movie, he's on his parents' farm, which I don't think, did they mention that Martha died? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I don't think they ever did. Yeah, what Martha didn't get really a death scene or mention.
They don't mention it in 3 either, and he goes back to Smallville. I don't even think he sees his
Yeah.
mom. Um, and so, for some reason, he's drawn to his the spaceship that he was sent in, and he retrieves a crystal. And I don't know if he hears about this because now I'm remembering he destroys the Fortress of Solitude, at least in the Donner cut in the second movie.
Hmm.
And so he never goes back to it because they're not building that. Canon's not building that set.
Yeah.
And if they did, it would probably
Yeah.
look like crap.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. So
He's like, oh yeah, there's one last thing in my space capsule buried under the barn. And so he picks that up. He hears his mom, which they got the original actress. That's fine. Mom's talking to him saying, hey, here's a little last bit of power, you know, for us to have our last conversation. And when you take this out, your capsule is going to shrivel up and be dead. And so we get to watch that. Just yeah. So yeah, and then he puts it away, and we forget about it because an hour goes by.
and then while he's dying of aging from getting scratched by Nuclear Man, um, he picks up the crystal, and the scene then cuts to Nuclear Man going to go capture Lacey, and Superman's just there. There's no like epic triumphant thing of like him healing and him flying to go confront Nuclear Man. He's just there.
Right. Oh, and also, see, I wasn't paying as much attention to that, but you're absolutely right. What I was paying attention to was that Nuclear Man just happened to see a newspaper that the Daily Planet had put like on the top half of the page a huge picture of Mariel Hemingway with the headline, "Hey, new publisher at Daily Planet," and he looks at it and goes, "Hmm," and then he flies to the Daily Planet, and Superman walks out of the lobby and he says, "I want woman." And that's it. And like, what? What is happening?
This leads to another battle, and they end up in Lex's penthouse, which doesn't make any sense unless you watch the deleted scenes. Because Lex
And
isn't there.
also because he because Nuclear Man had been at Lex's penthouse, which is at the top of the Empire State Building. He then goes to the Daily Planet. Surprise, surprise, Superman is there, all freshly healed. And then he flies up through the roof of the Daily Planet, and suddenly he flies into Lex's penthouse, which was at the Empire State Building. We changed buildings, and it's yeah. At this point, the movie is a mess. Like what is the
Yeah,
continuity is not there. It's gone, gone, gone. Like oh.
so Superman traps. I was called a Meteor Man. He traps Nuclear Man in an elevator, and then he loses all of his because there's no sun. And then he takes
Yeah.
him all. He rips out the elevator, um, and then drops it on the moon, and it's like that was it. But then
That was
Superman
it.
was dumb, and he didn't seal all the cracks, so the tiniest bit of sunlight hits Nuclear Man, and he's fully charged again.
Meanwhile, Superman has decided to take this opportunity to straighten the American flag where we had landed on the moon years before, and get caught off guard by Nuclear Man. I thought a nice touch.
Yeah. And then this is where he goes to capture Lacey and brings her into space, where she apparently can breathe.
Yes, yes, they're quite a bit away from the Earth, and
Yeah.
Lacey is is unhappy being carried, but doesn't appear to be having any problems with cold or no air. And yeah, and
It
how does
reminds
Superman save her?
How does he save her?
Superman he saves her by moving the moon.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he moves the moon in front of the sun, and then that completely
Which I'm
shuts off
sure,
Nuclear Man.
yeah, I'm sure moving the moon won't cause any havoc on the Earth below. I'm sure that won't be any problem. And and yes, and then suddenly the man carrying Lacey just kind of shuts down and goes into a coma, and so Superman, I love how he swoops in, picks her up, flies her to the distant globe of Earth, and then immediately flies back. We just figure he set her down somewhere and says, "All right, here you go." And then I got to go back and take care of this nuclear man guy before he floats back into the path of the sun. Hopefully, the moon is continuing on a proper trajectory because Superman just futzed with it and he never goes back to it. Oh no, no! Don't they go back? I think they go back to the moon and fight some more.
I can't remember honestly.
Oh God,
These
what happened? He attacks him because he's shut down in space. Oh, what does he do?
no,
Oh,
no, he fought.
he flies him into a nuclear reactor.
Yes, he grabs him and he drops him in a nuclear reactor.
And he drops him into one of those big cooling things, and he falls perfectly into what looks to be a missile launching silo that we saw earlier when all the nukes were being launched, which of course doesn't make any sense that that's at the bottom of a cooling tower. But so the nuclear man goes in there, and then all of a sudden, all of New York gets like a boost. Yeah, everybody's lights come on because that's what happens when we get more electricity. And problem solved.
Apparently, like nuclear missiles are connected to like batteries.
Yes.
It's like, okay, like does this drain him, or like is he just permanently like stuck like that, and he's just
Right.
they're using the last of
Yeah.
his powers. So yeah, that's how Nuclear Man's defeated. And then this is funny too. Perry White at some point leaves the movie because he's mad of what the Warfields are doing to his paper. And then he went to the bank and got a huge loan from them and bought all the stock in the Daily Planet, making Mr. Warfield minority shareholder, while Perry is like the top shareholder. And it's like, Perry, this is the newspaper. How much money do you think you're gonna get? The bank is gonna own the Daily Planet in like 5 years because you're not gonna be able to pay this loan back.
It's because they established at the beginning that the Daily Planet hasn't made money in 3 years. And
Yeah.
which is actually really topical now that we have all these billionaires controlling our news, and that's causing a huge problem. But yes, so yeah, so again, superhero movies really kind of showing us how the future is going to play out. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Perry White is ultimately damning the newspaper he has saved once again.
There's no resolution with Lacey's and Clark's romance. It just
Not at
cuts.
all, right?
Yeah, it just cuts to Lois and Jimmy. Jimmy's that's really what sucks about one thing that kind of sucks about these movies is Jimmy doesn't get that much to do, and Mark McClure I think does a pretty good job at playing Jimmy Olsen, even though he's like
Yeah,
way too old to be playing Jimmy Olsen at this point. Well, I mean, Jimmy Olsen's like in his 30s now.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
um,
Oh gosh, gee, what a scoop!
um, one thing I can give Supergirl, it's cool that he's a main character in it, so you get to see more of him. He's also Marty McFly's brother in Back to the Future,
Yeah, yeah.
which made me sad because he was at like a convention I went to, and I didn't go see him because it was like, oh, it's just Superman movies. And then like a few years later, I was like, oh my god, I could have met Dave McFly. I'm so dumb. And so yeah, they're waiting for Superman. Clark's there, and he's like, oh no, I forgot to get a recorder. I'm gonna go get that. And then Superman shows up, and then Superman has his big Rocky speech.
That's right. We got to keep at it.
Yeah, which I'm gonna read the speech right now. And he says, once more, we have survived the threat of war and found a fragile peace. I thought I could give all the gift of freedom from war, but I was wrong. It's not mine to give. We're still a young planet. There are galaxies out there, other civilizations for us to meet and to learn from. What a brilliant future we could have. And there will be peace. There will be peace when the people of the world want it so badly that their government will have no choice but to give it to them. I just wish you could all see the Earth the way I see it. because when you look at it, it really is just one world. Pretty good speech. Fortunately,
Yeah.
it's not in the best movie.
Yeah, I also like what he says to Lex Luthor when he captures him. And he drops John Cryer off at a boarding school for boys to like the wayward boys to go and help him, and uh, and then he takes Luthor directly back to the same rock quarry where he was at in prison. So there's no due process. There's no like going through the legal channels. Superman just takes him right back to prison and goes, "Here he is. See you in 20," he says. But Lex mouths off to him and he says something about, yeah, the earth is going to be precariously balanced on good and evil, but we're going to stay good, that because we're going to keep fighting. That's what we do. Something like that I thought was pretty good.
Which, hey, that's the point of this podcast. There can't just be good movies. There has to be bad movies. I had more to say, but then I brain farted.
Yeah, this was a good and bad movie. I see on Letterboxd it has an average rating of 1.7, and I can understand that. I mean, I give it 3 out of 5 stars, which I think is really generous. Really,
Yeah.
really generous. But it's, considering I've watched it a good 4 times, um, there's, something about it and all of its cringe and campiness that I do enjoy. And it is the last Christopher Reeve appearance as Superman, and kind of the end of the era, and before things started, it wasn't until what, 2006 that we got the next Superman movie. So
Yeah, around there,
uh
Superman
yeah.
Returns.
So yeah, so it was a, yeah, and that one starts off with Superman. He had seen, the astronomers said, "Hey, we think we see something with Krypton," and so Superman takes years to fly there and back, and so he's gone for a long time. So
Which apparent,
that was a great idea.
yeah, which that one does ignore 3 and 4 apparently.
Ah, yeah.
But honestly, who knows? um,
We should talk about the biggest part of the deleted scenes.
oh yeah. Before we get to the deleted scenes, I just wanted to get my thoughts on it. Finally, I gave it
Okay.
2 out of 5 stars. Um, Honestly, I think it's because I've been hearing about this movie for like over a decade. I've been watching like reviews on it, stuff like that. So I kind of knew everything in this movie already. So I ended up not hating it.
Right.
Uh, I don't. It's not good. It's a mess. I probably won't watch it again unless like I watch like all the Superman movies. But
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I enjoyed my experience watching it. I had more fun with this one than I did with Superman 3.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really the surprising thing, is that it's. But I had thought that Superman 3 was better than Superman 4. But yeah, Superman 3 was a little harder for me to get through, whereas Superman 4, yeah, I kind of already knew. Yeah, well, because I had kind of written it off in my mind that it was. I like to pick on the movie. Uh. Uh. Oh, what's the movie where the guy has the throwing star? It's a real rip off of Star
Kroll.
Wars. Yeah, Krull. Krull. Yes. So Krull, I feel like, is not a very good movie. It's obviously a big rip off of those fantasy movies and Star Wars in particular. And then in the middle of the movie, they have that one scene, the lady in the web, the woman in the web, and that's just such a great scene. And I had kind of characterized that Superman 4 was kind of like that movie, in that the scene where Lois comes to sick Clark Kent. That's kind of the big scene. But now that I've watched it again, I was like, oh no, that's not really fair. Superman 4, it kind of, for all of its problems, it just, yeah, if they hadn't half the budget, and if they didn't like fire the team that had done such a good job on the previous movies, it would have had a better shot, and it was a fine message and everything. So it could have been a lot better. And as it is, it's kind of a campy mess, but it's still kind of fun. And but yeah, you end up. It's like a good Mystery Science Theater movie, because yeah, there are those times where we're like, wait a minute, what? What just happened?
So it's also nice just to see the cast. Uh, Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman. It's nice to see them
Yeah.
all one last time.
Yeah. And then when you get to the deleted scenes, you see what they cut out. They cut out 45 minutes, apparently, after a bad test screening.
And only about 30 minutes are out and available. There's still
Yeah.
some scenes that are missing. Um, so like we kind of mentioned a couple of them. There's like a scene of like Superman meeting Jeremy. Um, there's like a scene in the beginning where like Clark has a dream. And then there's just a bunch of scenes that are like extended. One of the big things though is that Nuclear Man isn't the first thing that isn't the first being that Lex creates. Instead of sending, so he makes like the protoplasm from the hair, and his idea is to create his own radiation machine and put it through, and put like mutate it into a person, and he basically creates Bizarro.
Yep. And Bizarro
Uh,
kind of reminds me of it's not the same actor, but he kind of reminds me of the guy that played the Frankenstein monster in Young Frankenstein. Because of the way he just goes, oh, it's
yeah, and so he,
fantastic.
yeah, so he's just this very, it's just this very dumb like guy that like Lex has to like still like kill Superman, and then they cut. So apparently there was supposed to be a scene where Lacey invites Clark to go dancing, and so that's like one of the scenes that are just gone, and that's where
Bizarro gets a
we'll just call him
right.
Bizarro.
Yeah, because Bizarro, he was born naked, and there was some awkwardness, so they made him a silvery suit that looks like he can go out to a nightclub. And one of the scenes begins with a woman like wanting to take him home, and instead of beating up Superman, I guess. But Superman has already become aware of his presence at the nightclub, or as Clark Kent. So he switches to Superman, and there's a girl dragging him out into dragging Bizarro out into the alley. And then when she opens his shirt and sees he's got some kind of inhuman condition, she freaks out, and then the fight between Superman and Bizarro begins. And so the biggest problem with those deleted scenes is we don't have John Williams's music, so they're playing this really dopey kind of do 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 while this fight is happening, which makes it impossible to take serious at all.
There is a funny part where Superman is like, "Hey, I don't want to fight you. I just want to talk," and then Bizarro just knocks him down, which then causes Superman to push him, I think accidentally, into like a power line,
Yeah,
which
yeah, and so
kills him, I guess.
Superman kills Bizarro. Superman, how could you? Yeah, we don't get any kind of reaction from him, unfortunately. So yeah, Superman kills Bizarro because Bizarro just keeps attacking him, and he pushes him into, or he throws him, and he lands in a transformer on a power line and fries, and then John Cryer scoops him up and takes his goo back to Lex, and Lex has this great deleted scene where he's like, "All right, well, my power source wasn't enough. Ah, geez, if only I could use the sun. If he could bake in the sun." No, but that's crazy. And then you see him thinking, and that's actually good. That's what I want for my Lex Luthor. He fails, and he's like, "Well, hmm, back to the drawing board. What am I gonna do?" And then he comes up with Nuclear Man, and that's great. So yeah, in a lot of ways, I wish they had retained that. But it would have been about another half hour of ridiculousness, and hopefully they would have done better music than the what's in the deleted scene. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I kind of want a Bizarro. Really, I prefer him really over Nuclear Man in a lot of ways.
It's weird that they were afraid to do other Superman. I don't know if it was like a rights thing or they're afraid of like rights issues, but it's like it's weird. Superman has a lot of villains, and
Yeah,
other than Zod and Lex Luthor, they didn't want to use any of the comic ones.
I know.
Like
I would really love Parasite. Parasite
yeah,
is an
Parasite would be
awesome
awesome.
Superman villain.
It's like
And
they could
yeah,
do Metallo, but you know how easy Metallo is? You just get a guy and then just put like a glowing light in his chest.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to the new Superman movie because I see from the trailers we're going to get a lot of characters, and so yeah, hopefully James Gunn will fill this void with more of their awesome characters that they have in their ranks,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that'll be good.
And then kind of like the rest of the deleted scenes, give more context to scenes that happen in this movie. So you get a little bit more of like Clark dying.
Mm,
And you're not just showing that like, oh, he's old looking, now he's grabbing the crystal. You're showing a little bit of him suffering from it. And so you're given like a good like 40 seconds or so to kind of like see what's going through him before he finds the
mm.
crystal.
Yeah,
There's also a scene where this is where I'm saying that like the ending gets kind of confusing because they kind of edited things around. In the deleted scenes, he captures Lacey first, and then
mm,
Superman goes to kind of rescue her. But Nuclear Man is like, oh, I want to go have fun, so he just flies around the world, and it makes other countries think that like, oh shit, there's like someone has a nuclear bomb, um, which then Superman goes to Lex's pet house and like confronts Lex Luthor. And he's like, "Oh, Lacey, I have an idea," which is him setting up the, "Oh, we're gonna trap him in this elevator." And then there's a final scene with Lacey and Clark, which is like, why did you cut this out?
yeah, yeah.
So I wish, I don't know, it wouldn't make the movie better, but it helps out various like scenes that like are like, there's just a lot of scenes that are like, why would you cut this out? You could have cut out something else that was stupid. But yeah, this Superman 4 is a mess. And then when you learn like the behind the scenes stuff, it's like no wonder this movie, like the effects are probably unfinished for all we know.
Oh yeah, yeah. It does feel like when he looks at his at the beginning when he takes the green crystal out of his baby space capsule buried in the barn. He looks at it and he moves his head like he's using his heat vision, but there is no effect. And then the capsule just kind of crumbles away. And I was like, was there supposed to be an effect there? And then the same thing when he like is using his vision to cook poor Lois Lane's roasted duck in the in the oven from the next room, and I was like, "Oh, Superman, you're not going to destroy Lois's duck just so you can double date. Oh, this is terrible." But and then they completely forget about it. But yeah, there are several times where it looks like they were supposed to draw something in, and they didn't. So yeah, yeah, I think they were suffering. There's one review on Letterbox I see that says cheapo Canon Films energy of Superman 4 honestly feels closer to the character's comic book roots than most of what came before. Uh, no doubt it's a goofy ass B movie, but it's a goofy ass B movie in the Masters of the Universe tradition, and that's never boring. The Nuclear Man scenes are fried gold. So they're basically saying, like, if you're going to do a Superman comic book adaptation, Canon Films really might be the level you need to be. Coming from someone like us, where we really like our superhero movies, and so yeah, the bigger the budget, the more possible you're going to have something really, really good. Um, my final thoughts would be Superman. Superman the movie is one of the best of all time. With my favorite Superman so far. I haven't seen the new one yet. And Superman 2, both versions theatrical and the Donner cut. I enjoy Superman 3. It's a little cringe, and so we're messing. We're missing. It's a bit of a mess. And Superman 4 is a mess, but it's still kind of fun and everything, and it provides closure because from 1987 to like 2006 we kind of shut down on Superman movies, while all of a sudden in that same time span we the X-Men movies started up, Blade and Spider-Man, and so we kind of had a resurgence for the superhero movies, and so then Superman came back to get it right. and hopefully they'll get it right again in a couple soon.
That'll be this episode of the Balance of Cinema podcast. Do you have any of your socials and stuff you want to shout out?
I've just been working on my Jekyll and Hyde movie screenplay, and I listen to Dangerous ASMR. She's always good. Um, but yeah, just working away, doing my day job, getting the Ancient Aliens episodes over to the History Channel, and having a good time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Balance of Cinema podcast. And in the meantime, just go watch the movies.